So, firstly, thanks for having us here. Immensely grateful. So, uh, our talk is going to be about Chinese social media intelligence, and as you guys might have heard about Xiaohongshu, or Red Note, which is a Chinese social media platform, recently took internet by storm soon after the news of the U.S. government pondering on TikTok ban broke out. So these netizens, which gradually shifted towards other social media platforms uh, in China, who were also called TikTok refugees, uh, felt an innate need to resist the government policies on limited use of Chinese social media, leading to a sort of Streisand effect instead. So our talk is going to be about popular social media platforms when compared to other Western media platforms. So here's a short introduction. I am currently Chief Investigative Officer for Shelby Act and also freelance voice and journalist um, with a forte in defense and OSINT related topics. I'm also simultaneously studying other languages related to Chinese social media intelligence, such as Tibetan and Mandarin. Also, my maritime OSINT article was also mentioned in GIJN's ship tracking resources. I had also previously worked with with India Today and Hectoria, so a group presenter will be next.
Yeah, so hey everyone, my name is Madhav, and actually, I would request the moderator. I am having some trouble with the camera, I can't switch it on. Can you guide me, please?
Yes, we're working on it. So please continue, and we will make sure that your camera gets turned
Okay,
on.
okay, no issues, no issues. I am, as I introduced myself, my name is Madhav, and I am currently employed as the CTO at Shelby. I love building tools for. Uh, a- Wait a minute. Yeah, I love building tools for investigative journalists as well as for cybersecurity enthusiasts. I am proficient in Python technologies like Python, Git, Linux, etc. And along with all this, I am a computer science sophomore. So yeah, that was all about me. So let's move further in the presentation. Yeah. So the main motive of this presentation would be to learn and understand how we can perform OSINT on China, on a isolated country like China, I would rather say. So the topics would be first we will be comparing TikTok with Douyin, then YouTube with Bilibili, and then we will be discussing about Baidu services, then how we can translate and transcribe Chinese. Then we will be discussing about societal isolation in China and the use cases, how we can use these techniques in our investigative pieces. And lastly, we'll be discussing about what are the must-haves which you will be requiring while performing OSINT. Yeah, so over to you, Deepti.
So next up is a first topic, which is TikTok versus Douyin. Um, uh, Firstly, you should know uh, that the similarity in both of these logos is a major confusion normally between normal people. But actually, these two platforms have the same parent company, which is ByteDance. uh, I think it is intended to segregate the Chinese public from the Western world, and it has it has been developed to have a certain digital ecosystem, two different digital ecosystems. In terms of censorship, I would say that Douyin is comparatively uh, more open to military troop movements and uh, regional blogs, which you might not see on TikTok because there is limited usage from the Chinese native public. Um so there's this vacuum that is created on Douyin, and there is no knowledge about what's happening on the outside in the outside world. Uh, Regarding intelligence types, I would say the Indo-China border areas. There's this coverage regarding Indo-China border areas. Also, um, you people might also see AI avatars which support China, and they are mostly made of. They are mostly from US origin. Um, you might also find that on Xiaohongshu, and there are certain propaganda videos also, and military capabilities, ship and troop movements. So there's this vast distinction between the two platforms, because on TikTok, I think you might get a certain amount of criticism regarding China, which you might not see on Douyin. So I think that's the difference between the two. Douyin has a lot of coverage about what's really happening on the ground on China. So I think that's much better than TikTok. So these are the two examples which have been collected from Douyin. Um, Recently, uh, near Scarborough Shoal in South China Sea, there were military drills done by US and Philippines. There were air patrols, and in a bid to outshine the two nations, China also sent its fighter jets on over the South China Sea to claim its territory, which the Scarborough Shoal is apparently theirs. Also, the second example is regarding Tingri earthquake, which came during the onset of January this year, and there were so many utopian videos about how uh, rapidly the relief and everything is being done by the CCP in order to uh, in order to send more relief and assistance to their own citizens. So there's this sense of La La Land that is being created by the CCP, so that there's less aggravated public in areas which are more sensitive, like Tibet and Xinjiang. So on to our second topic, which is YouTube versus Bilibili. Uh, as if you want to do a research which is comparatively less rigorous, you should probably choose YouTube, because you can create a list of keywords that you're going to search and translate that into Chinese, and put that into the search bar, and you will probably get some native videos, which could be about how things have been on ground in China, which the CCP is trying to hide, or probably some bot accounts which are like publicizing the narrative of the CCP about how happily their minorities are living. Regarding military training, you can also watch CCTV 7 channel. Mostly those who those who do Chinese military research uh, also watch a CCTV channel, which majorly covers Chinese military training videos. And when we come to Bilibili, it is a major platform, major alternative for YouTube, uh, which has so many bloggers from outside, which probably the CCP funds, and to praise China and to glorify China when compared to India. They like there are so many foreigner videos which when they visit India, and there are so many like women safety issues and poverty issues, and they keep comparing China to India in terms of development also. So there is sense of comparison, uh, and apart from the foreign bloggers, there are also Chinese native bloggers who visit India, and uh, only uh, only show what's the uh, only show the negative part of India. So this is also, it is also a good source for daily vlogs when covering sensitive areas, uh, such as Indo-China border and Myanmar issue. There are scam centers in Myanmar which are often covered vastly and get so many likes and comments in these Chinese social media platforms. So these are the two examples. Uh, China often China has a certain China has renamed Arunachal Pradesh, which is a state in India, as Southern Tibet or Shangnan, um, and the natives often visit the border and show how China is proud of its heritage and how they are planning to grab that land, which was originally theirs, apparently, according to them. Um, and also Dongjiang Falls, which is also the major point, which which is a disputed area. And this is the example of when we search about Indian blogger or Indian India blog. There are so many bleak narratives on China, on India, and there are a bunch of videos where you can see how a Chinese girl or a foreigner girl is being harassed, and only those videos are being shown. And these are narrative. These are often narrated the by a uh, native Chinese person, uh, so as to suit their own sort of propaganda that they want to serve their own public.
Yeah, so Baidu is very much similar to Google as wait a second. Yeah, so Baidu is a Chinese Google equivalent, which is widely used by the Chinese natives living there. So although it's being heavily monitored and heavily like regulated by the state, it still supports many features like Google Docs. So you can use Baidu Docs instead there, which are advanced search operators which you can use for performing OSINT. And there are many other platforms like Baidu Wenku, which is a document sharing platform provided by Baidu services, and it can be used for finding leaked documents and like insights into the discussions happening there. And then we have Baidu Maps, which is similar to Google Maps, which is I believe it is way more accurate than Google Maps when comparing it when with respect to China, right? So also we have when we move further, we have where we have Baidu Migrate, which shows how many people are migrating from one place to another in China. And here you can see uh, uh, heavily dense population where people are migrating, like things like that, right? And you can also see Tibet local news in Baidu. And I would suggest when you're searching something in Baidu, instead using English, you should like translate the same phrase into Chinese, which would be more relevant while searching. Yeah. So let's move further. Yeah. So, while performing OSINT on China, we are not familiar with Chinese language, right? So we have two ways. Either we can go and learn Chinese from scratch by watching Chinese dramas, propaganda movies, or Chinese social media platforms, which can help to learn basic Chinese words. Also, which can also help you in learning and understanding the regional narrative of China. And the other way is by using platforms like Veed.io, which can help you in transcription and translation. But there's a catch. Uh, Veed.io can only support 1 minute length videos, and it can only generate subtitles. Like you upload a video there, on vid.io, and then it will generate subtitles in English. So it could be helpful, but I believe OpenAI Whisper version 1, which is, I guess, open source, if I'm not wrong, it would be more efficient in this case, right? So you guys can like use OpenAI Whisper for transcription as well, and there are many other free alternatives for transcription. And yeah, so huh, yeah, so these are the two examples of very popular propaganda movies on Tibet and Xinjiang. Uh, you guys can watch it for like knowing the regional narratives and for learning Chinese, for both the things, right? So it's very efficient. Wait a second. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you for an awesome talk, an insightful talk on the Chinese
There were
internet and
additional
the internet.
slides.
Sorry, come again?
There were additional slides.
I guess we skipped many slides.
Ah, so do you want to reopen your slides and go over those, or?
Yeah, obviously. I guess we skipped many slides in the presentation.
So feel free to reshare.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get us back to where we're at. Just thanks for your patience.
Yeah, for the people tuning in, please stand by. We're trying to pull the slides up so that Dipti and her colleague can continue their talk. So we got enough time left for you to finish your talk and talk about the topics that you want to discuss. No worries, no rush.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, here we go. We're almost there. So you tell us where we want to continue, or you need to continue.
Next slide.
And this one, yeah, this one we covered. This one we covered.
Yeah. Yeah, we covered it.
We're left
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Please continue. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No, but no worries. Absolutely.
So, societal isolation is in China is surely a common topic which you might know. However, um, when we consider a town like Guangzhou, which is based in Jiangda County in China, uh, which is apparently called the first town to be conquered by the PLA, to be liberated apparently by the PLA. Um, uh, now serves as a propaganda journal because there are so many there's an entirely rewritten history about uh, how the entire Tibetan independence movement uh, came about, like uh, what actually went on, like uh, it has also turned into a red tourism town of Tibet, and there's a bias, there's a childhood bias that actually happens when you grow up in China. For example, if you are a kid in China and you are being taught in school that the first priority that you need to learn, the language that you need to learn is should be Mandarin, since this is the only language that you will need to get a job when you get older. um, and the native language that you that the ethnicity that you are based in and everything, the cultural background that you are based in, is nothing compared to the mainstream narrative that is being passed on to you. You gradually lose focus of what to fight for, the purpose behind what your ancestors previously fought for, and this gives an upper hand for to the ruling authority, and it's it makes you a humanoid in their entire ecosystem. Like you are there to follow certain rules, and there are CCTV cameras surveilling you, which as per the um, bots which regularly comment on Xiaohongshu say that stuff like this never happens in China, and people like Tibetan, like the TikTok refugees, eventually believe the narrative because of their gullibility, and they are being heavily criticized for that. Uh, so there's this tranquilizing that happens. There's this numbness that comes uh, when you follow through the route, and it gradually cuts you off from the outside world. So this town has been turned into a propaganda journal. So it was apparently conquered by the PLA, and the Tibetan movement that happened in 1950 was made out to be something like there was a peaceful collaboration between the two parties, Tibetan refugees, Tibetans and Chinese, and there was nothing. And there were some insurgent groups that were against the thing, and they were violent. But the handing down of power was immensely peaceful, which was not the case in reality. So these are the two examples from the town, Guangzhou town, and you can see the red gate, which is also known as the main gate to Tibet. And there has been so many promotion going on regarding tourism, and there are so many foreign tourists also visiting this town and reading the history, which is um, to no surprise is not true. So when we come to use cases or investigative pieces, uh, those who have heard about Xinjiang and its detention camps, the first story that comes to mind is of Alison Killen, uh, who did an immensely interesting investigative piece on that, where she found multiple blanked out spots on Baidu Maps. And when we gather those coordinates and make a list of it, and then put it again, uh, compare it on Google Earth, correlated, uh, you get to see similarly carved out structures with an identical architecture. Um, so that's how the detention camps locations were made out public. So that was a really great article. Secondly, Nature's article on population flow during the Spring Festival in China in popular Chinese cities was a really great article. Like which was done using Baidu Migrate, which we have previously also discussed. So there was a large network of how much crowd has gathered in a certain area, which also helped in COVID-19 epidemic. Um, like we got to know about how we can properly manage the crowd and not let a certain uh, not make our cities fill in with so many uncontrolled mob during serious epidemic. Thirdly, there was this article of mine on CCP propaganda videos on Uyghurs. So I used YouTube for that, and there were so many blogs made by published by recent bots, and the bots the bot accounts were uh, generated nearly around the same dates, and there were so many similar videos, nearly identical videos about how happily Uyghurs are living in China. And there was one of the Uyghurs always claiming that uh, how there are so many facilities given to them, and there is nothing related to forced labor, which the Western narrative is all about, and they are intentionally trying to demean their motherland, uh, which was obviously not true. And when we reported on it, the videos were taken down finally.
So yeah, let's discuss some of the requirements which we would be requiring while performing OSINT on an isolated country like China. So since it's guarded by a strong firewall, we would be requiring service like Tor or a VPN service, you can use Brave Tor as it's more like easy to use. You don't need to configure anything. It's very easy to use. And for making accounts, since many Chinese social media platforms require local accounts to be registered there on their social media, so you can generate some fake email and contact numbers using platforms like vSimCard or Tempmail. And I would like to mention here that while using Tor and services like VPN, etc., you need to be very vigilant about the websites you are visiting, because there are many fraudulent websites available out there on the internet. So be vigilant. Uh, Cybersecurity is really essential part of our life. So and the second most important thing is that you need to note down the phrases, like pen down the phrases which terms or phrases which you need to search or related to any topic. So yeah, that's all about the requirements you would be requiring. And lastly, I would like to thank you all for listening patiently, and I hope you guys must have learned at least a few couple of things from us. And before we begin with the Q&A session, I would like to tell you that I am available everywhere on the internet, and you guys can ping me on Slack as well as you can ping Deepthi on Slack if you guys need any resources related to Chinese OSINT. I would be providing with the GitHub resources, GitHub cheat sheets, and many more, which I know obviously. So yeah, thanks all.